Your transition from being a credit trader on the Wall Street to launching two thriving SaaS businesses.
My Wall Street background did not do much other than just sort of like breed more work ethic.
You have touched the soul of the conversation in terms of, I personally believe that automation usually kills the authenticity.
This is being sold to B2B as a pipeline generation.
Where do you see that, outbound marketing heading in few years?
The volume of website visits is not really high enough. The way that this space is positioned right now, and I'll largely take the blame for it because I got this wrong and everybody just kind of copies us.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning into Data Demands podcast, where we connect the dots between MarTech and marketing landscape. Stay tuned to MarTech 360 as we explore key strategies for your marketing success.
Hello and welcome to MarTech 360 podcast, where we decode the latest in marketing and technology with industry leaders. I am Samarth, and we have an incredible guest today, Adam Robinson. Adam is the founder and CEO of RB2B and retention.com, two game-changing SaaS companies. RB2B helps businesses identify anonymous website visitors and turn them into real opportunities, while retention.com has grown to 22 million in ARR, which is annual recurring revenue, in just 4 years without external funding, helping e-commerce brands recover lost revenue in a cookie-free world. Before venturing into SaaS, Adam was a credit trader on Wall Street and later bootstrapped Robberly email marketing into an 8-figure exit. He's also a creator of Billion Dollar Challenge, a docuseries documenting his journey to scaling to billion-dollar business. Wow, Adam, welcome to MarTech 360. Great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Perfect. So, Adam, before we dive into detail, let's get back at the start of the beginning. Your transition from being a credit trader on the Wall Street to launching two thriving SaaS businesses is an incredible leap. What pivotal experiences from your finance background influence your journey in tech, and how did they shape your strategies for achieving rapid growth, which we and everybody has seen, especially without external funding?
Yeah, so I think that surprisingly, my Wall Street background did not do much other than just sort of like breed more work ethic.
Okay.
There are a bunch of people working incredibly hard, and the interesting thing is, what I did was credit default swap trading, and what I do now is, I'm a SaaS entrepreneur. There's almost no transferable skill between the two of those. There's very little
Right.
management in trading.
Mhm.
There's not really a product. You don't really understand business, in
Right.
general, even though you think you do, and you can sort of look at a spreadsheet and know what it means.
Yeah.
So, other than the fact that I was able to save money, which allowed me to start my first business, and it kind of, I like to say, as a young person, it teaches you how to speak to adults. Other than that, surprisingly, not much.
Right. Right. So probably I would say that, leveraging discipline, financial discipline, probably, that was one of the key insight that you take. I think both are incredibly different stream of work, but yeah, I mean, it's incredible to see someone making that leap and transitioning. Speaking of the transition, do you see traditional lead generation tactics losing the steam?
My perception is that everything gets harder all the
Hmm.
time,
Right.
for a lot of reasons. If I just think of the retention.com, when we started growing it, we had nice word of mouth going, but all we did was cold email, and we did it off our primary domain. And, we just we had 5 people in the Philippines who were like list building during the day and then literally like manually sending emails at
Wow.
night. And that's just something you can't do anymore.
Right.
It's like at the time. So there was this book called Predictable Revenue, which we just followed that playbook. And
Right.
I think still even in 2019, there's probably 5% of the outbound email volume going out according to that playbook that there is today. So
Right.
I think that's a dynamic that's made things harder. I think that advertising in general has just gotten more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
The economy of social media has grown. The value of attention has become more expensive. So to penetrate that through paid
Right.
has just gotten more expensive with it.
Uh-huh.
And SEO is undergoing. Who know? If you go to Google and you type something in, you do not get organic search results first.
Right.
You don't even get paid search results first.
Mm-hmm.
You get an AI generated description that answers your question a lot of the time.
Right.
So yeah, those channels are all very different, and they were all very efficient ways to get customers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that activity in the physical world has changed that much. So like trade shows are pretty similar to what they were 10 years ago. And, if you sell something that has a high ACV,
Mm-hmm.
I think that your task has not changed that much, right? It's like
Right.
it is creating network in your world. Presumably, if it's high ACV, it's probably a small number of accounts that you're
Mm-hmm.
going after, and
Right.
I don't think the job has changed that much in 10 years. It's like networking in that world, and then doing brand things in that in the real world to sort of get, if you take somebody to
Right.
like a LA Lakers game to close a
Mm-hmm.
deal, like that hasn't changed in 50 years. So
Right.
yeah, that's my take. Stuff has just gotten a lot harder. So the what you need to do to succeed gets increasingly more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm. Completely. That's fascinating. And I completely agree with, with too many options available, companies are reaching out to different channels, creating, trying, testing, and, living in more complex world. And, probably that's one reason where adaptability comes. And, why do you think that, startups are flexible, mid-sized companies are flexible when it comes to the resistance to change? That is where the real trouble is, especially when there are too many people involved in a team, probably a sales team or a digital marketing team or social media team. What do you think is the biggest mind shift they need to make to see the real growth of these new solutions?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. I think it's just really hard for me to put myself in their shoes because I'm an early stage startup guy, and it's just, one day you're thriving, the next day you're getting absolutely crushed, and it's just the opposite of that. But I think that the mindset shift probably needs to be, it's, to me, a post AI world is like there's 1 billion tiny startups. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess trying to internalize that and operate more like an early stage company might,
Right.
in terms of like having experiments going on. If you see something working, allocate
Mm-hmm.
resources towards it,
Right.
keep experimenting or whatever, rather than just like doing what has always worked, which is not working
Right.
anymore.
Right.
I don't know how else you would solve the problem other than that.
No, I
Yeah.
completely agree. I completely agree. And, that's a very critical real life perspective wherein, you got to keep evolving and see what's happening and, how you can put it back to your business or, the area of your interest and create an easy way to do things, and it's, you rightly said, it's very easy to stick with what's familiar, but the real winners are the ones who keep adapting and, for the shifting landscapes. That's a amazing perspective you brought. In this environment, when we are talking about the transition, we are talking about shifting landscapes. How can businesses truly identify and act on intent signal, especially when customers want to stay anonymous? We have so many omni-channel targeting, retargeting, but in this ever-changing environment, how can businesses truly identify and act on those intent signals to capture the essence of that particular interest?
So our product helps with that. We have a person and soon company level website identity tool. The person level is in the US
Hmm.
only in terms of US traffic. The company
Right.
level is worldwide. Um, and how people usually the best use case is you flow them through your CRM and
Hmm.
then either add to a lead score or start some type of automated cadence um, or just alert the rep in general. Because it, a website visit is a great signal. The problem most B2B companies are going to have is that it's not enough of a
Hmm.
signal. So a website visit is only good so long as you're getting web traffic. So ultimately, no matter what, at some point you're going to run into this problem. It's like, well, how do I get more traffic? Which is kind of like what we were talking about before. Um,
Hmm.
Getting traffic is just harder than it used to be. But the web signal is the best signal for sure. And our B2B solves that for B2B companies for sure. And again, it's about getting that to a sales rep and
Hmm.
then allowing the rep to take that and contextualize it with everything else they have going on in that
Right.
sales cycle to then
Right.
potentially lead to action or potentially not.
Hmm.
They may want to wait until another site visit happens or someone else at the company visits or like something like that to
Right. Right. No, I mean, this is very interesting, and I would like to get into a little more detail. If you can, help me understand with the use case that how it works, because I've gone through your product, looks amazing. Probably, a lot of people who listen to this podcast would get, great insight on the entire behind the scene, that how it works and really makes life of sales guys a little easy.
yeah. So let's say you are an agency and you have 3 sales reps and you're out there creating content and people are coming to visit your website and you use HubSpot CRM.
Right.
You could put our pixel on your site, people would hit your website, and you could integrate with HubSpot CRM. And if the person who hit the website, if the company is in the CRM, then whoever the company owner is, workflows can be set up within HubSpot to do one of many things. You could either decide, because a first time website visitor is not necessarily a lead. They may not even be ready for, you may not want to ask them for a demo. It's just, every product is quite different. Every sales cycle is quite different. So that signal can mean different things for different people. So, but the
Mhm.
point is, if you are in that situation and you're getting traffic to your website and you have reps, that's generally the flow. It's just you integrate HubSpot, you send the
Mhm.
signal there, and then really it's 3 main workflows. Either you add to a lead score, which eventually triggers something else,
Right.
right? Or you you start some automated outreach
Mhm.
through HubSpot. or you just alert the rep, and the rep can then decide what they want to do based upon,
Right.
the activity they've already had with
Right.
this account.
Right. Super. That makes a lot of sense. I think, I'm able to visualize what you said, and and it does probably, what we are trying to identify here is intent is everything. Every repeating customer or a first time user shows us an intent, and how do we build on from there is most crucial. Especially it is understanding how to read between the lines and recognize those signals. Could be something very fascinating, interesting for everybody. But then comes the question of execution. I'm sure that a bit of automation, AI also plays a little. Can this help, or probably can AI integrated with this can help in personalized outreach at scale?
So the thing, this may not be what everybody wants to hear, but like the problem, our competitors, and to a large extent, us still, this is being sold to B2B as a pipeline generation, an automated pipeline generation solution.
Right.
The problem is the volume of website visits is not really high enough. Well, there's two issues. Number one, that's not the only value of this. In fact, website visits can be very interesting in ways that don't directly lead to demos, right? Like, I'll give you an example. At retention.com, we're trying to, Shopify is like the ecosystem that we're in, and they're trying to go enterprise right now. And
Right.
we have this other, we're trying to do with them, but we don't have an official partnership yet. So the head of product at Shopify was looking at our enterprise product page, right? That is not a demo, but that is an incredibly interesting piece of information for us to know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Got it.
so like an investor hitting your website, for example, or like, somebody who would build an integration to your solution hitting your website, right? Like the way that this space is positioned right now, and I'll largely take the blame for it because I got this wrong and everybody just kind of copies us, is that the purpose of this is to book demos and book demos only. The way that you book demos is you spam the people who visit your website. And if no book demos are achieved, then this product is valueless, right? And that is, and based upon how the space is being sold right now, it's hard to get out of that paradigm. We have deep conviction that this is the wrong way to use this product. And we're basically trying to build a Chrome plugin that will sit on top of Gmail that will tell reps when people either in their inbox or on their target list are visiting the site or changing jobs or something like that, and then sort of suggest based upon what's going on, what they might say to them, right? And hopefully we can like widen the aperture with AI's assistance to things like I said, like here's really interesting ecosystem things that are happening, people in your ecosystem that are visiting, or people who are investors that are visiting or whatever. So yeah, when you hear about this technology and you don't understand this dynamic that B2B traffic is actually quite low. Furthermore, the percentage of ideal customer profile traffic within that low traffic is quite low because that's the nature of web traffic. For whatever reason, most people that hit your website, you would not actually want to talk to, right?
Right. True.
Yeah. And then within that, oftentimes the person who's doing the research is not actually the person you want to talk to at the company. So like those three things make what the immediate promise is when you hear about this, like I want to just set up a clay table that spams these people who visit. and go book demos, right? That just doesn't yield what you would hope it would. But to me, it doesn't necessarily mean the product is useless. It just means in how it's being packaged and sold, people are using it the wrong way. So yeah, I'm trying to solve this. I am not in its current state. I just don't think it's a great product because like no matter what I say, people are going to still use it to try to be an automated pipeline building machine in B2B, and it's just not going to do that well. So yeah, I'm trying to create like a whole different delivery of this signal and a different context for it to be delivered in, so that it's not a marketer trying to set up automation. It's a rep who is being assisted by AI to help think through how this signal might be valuable to them as it happens.
True. That's very, very interesting. And, you have touched the soul of the conversation in terms of, I personally believe that automation usually kills the authenticity. People use it, for their own benefit. Salespeople are pushing to get demos, product demos, actively pushing sale, but the authentic transaction value, is usually left behind. And that brings me to the next question: that how do we strive the perfect balance between automation, AI driven efficiency, and genuine human connection? What's your take on that?
So it's just hard. I don't think, I think that AI in its current form, and I don't know what it will be in 5 years, but these large language models, they're like, I think thinking of them as increasingly competent interns is the right way to think about them.
Right.
In assigning tasks. So like, it's like you are still running the machine, but you have and you have the keys, you have the ultimate decision-making power. And the important thing is the strategy you have to come up with.
Right.
But these interns present ideas and can execute tasks. But if you turned over your business to these interns, they'd run it into the ground. Right. Because they don't have the perspective that you do. And they don't have the strategic thinking and context that you do. Right. So, I think there's a place for automation. There's even a place for spamming, for lack of a better term. If you've a brand new product and you have a wide TAM and literally you just want to like treat the inbox as a display ad unit, really good offer, like it can be effective for a while. But I just don't think, I don't know, maybe I'm like I was at this mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and I was sitting at a table, very smart people, all in tech, and they're like, within the next 18 months, the majority of the US population, like kind of lower functioning knowledge workers, will be completely replaced by AI, and they won't know. They'll just be blindsided. They're not going to know what happened to them, and they're not going to know how to repurpose themselves. So it's going to be an enormous amount of pain. Right. In 18 months. Right. So I disagree with that, because like we just did a deal with a large retailer in the US, and that deal took 18 months. Right. Right. So like I I just like, the idea that, and look, I'm sure that like there will be one-man startups that do really well. There'll be a lot of one-man startups that do pretty well. But like this idea that AI would just be doing all of sales and marketing in its entirety for substantial operations, I just don't agree with. Like a great example, I think, of what I'm trying to say is in the Shopify ecosystem, this guy, Kenan, came out with a video editor, an AI video editor called Icon. And he's doing a lot of content. He's spreading the word. It's cool. It's kind of like you can take UGC influencer content, and then AI can like change the hook, change the body, and change the close. So it can give you this enormous amount of content to test on social media in a way that you just couldn't do before.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what one of the brands who used it said, we still have to film all of the same content that we had to film before. This is just, it's increasing the amount that we get out of that content. Right. But like all of the same creativity had to go into it. But like now we just have 1,000, we can optimize what the end product is. Right. So that's kind of like what I think it's like, I just don't think automation is going to replace everything. It's like, I don't think the AI SDR thing works because like, A, I don't think it works because of the authenticity thing that you're talking about. B, it's like, there are these guys who, they're okay engineers, but like you're trying to spam against Google, who is the best at AI, literally, right? Like that's just not going to, that's just not a game that I want to be involved in, So yeah, that wasn't really a direct answer, but like, I just don't think automation, I think once you have someone's attention, I still think we are in a position to where human perspective, connection, and intuition in a sales process is valued above AI. And I really, I don't think people are like, there are restaurants that don't have waiters. They don't do well, right? It's like a novelty, like there's a robot bar in LA, in Las Vegas. Nobody wants to go there, know? So I still, I think there's this strange thing where like take my content, for example, right? I think the reason that my content works is because of my perspective.
Right.
There's no AI that knows what I've lived through the past 2 weeks. There's no AI that knows who I've talked to every word of it the last 2 weeks, and then can synthesize based upon everything I've experienced, how that story can be told in a way that is maximally resonant with my audience. Right. So like, it can help a lot of people put my posts into ChatGPT and then say, how would Adam Robinson write something about this topic? But that post sucks. It's terrible.
100%.
Maybe it'll get better. But like what I'm trying to say is like, I think as the volume of crap goes up by 100,000 times, the value
goes down.
The value of this humanity actually goes up a lot, which like, I just don't feel like it's fitting into the calculus right now. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like maybe it's bringing, it can like bring more of the human connection. You can spend less time doing stuff that's not human connection. So you can spend more time doing the stuff that is human connection, but the stuff that is human connection will be more valuable.
True. No, absolutely. And I completely agree. Automation, AI, and I, 100% agree with your perspective, because I personally believe, automation, AI, is to enhance, not replace. They can help us become better in optimizing our own work, but the human touch which is necessary in building trust, compassion, acting upon something, instincts, it's a very delicate balance, and I don't think so the world is ready yet for that kind of emotion put into, or using that in the right manner. Yeah,
But
but I don't know what the future holds, but when it's done right, the magical combination can bring a lot of scale and personalization, and that is when the jobs would be taken away, or humans would not be required to do a particular stuff. But that's way too far. I don't believe uh, in this as of now.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
it'll be very interesting. But I just, yeah, I just think humans are all. It's like, yeah,
It's
we'll see. It's going to be
yeah,
very
we'll see.
interesting. But by the way, like, I think we're also just like really starting to understand what these LLMs are good at and what they're not. I mean, to me, it seems asinine that 18 months ago, everyone
Mhm.
was scared that like AI was going to kill us.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, ChatGPT can actually just help me interpret my medical records better than I ever could or any doctor could, because of the enormous complexity that goes into delivering a prognosis, right? Like, but like this large language model is not going to kill us, So
Right.
like, and then like there's the whole wave of, oh, like the cursor and like the, oh my god, like you can make look I can make a website that looks like another website in 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But like it doesn't actually work.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like they're like, oh, it's 80% there. It's like it's not 80% there. It doesn't work. It's 0%
Yeah.
there. Like it got you UI, but that's not why the
Uh-huh.
software business works, right?
Right.
Like there's incredible complexity in
Mhm.
making a website at scale and the data behind it all work.
Right.
And that also takes perspective to design that appropriately. So, um, so yeah, I think we're in an interesting time where it's like maximum consumer excitement about this.
Mhm.
And by the way, like if I were Jeff Bezos, I'd be excited too. If I had 300,000 employees and like a lot of them were doing incredibly systematized manual tasks,
Right.
I would be like, wow, I might be able to run this whole thing with
Mhm.
30,000 instead of 300,000, right? But like when I look at what my friends are currently doing with AI and I extrapolate it over to my business, it's not the things that are really working for us. It doesn't really help us that much with, you
Mhm.
know, don't get me wrong. Like we're using AI and customer support for our freemium RB2B. It's great most of the time. It's wrong some of the time. But yeah, you know,
No, it's interesting, and bringing that perspective into the outbound marketing per se. Where do you see that outbound marketing heading in few years, and what our B2B is shaping or contributing to this in the next few years?
yeah, I think, outbound marketing based on signal is gonna, it's kind of one of the only things that for sure works. The problem is there's like not enough signal to feed a team of many reps doing outbound, right? So
Right.
um, I think we've been in, there was like an era where you could put a college kid in front of a laptop, have them press buttons, and that would generate pipeline. I just think a lot more of it, it's like a lot more of it has to happen in the real world, than before. Um, so like I think it's like a tube of toothpaste. There was like a middle. There's like always been low cost freemium, and then there's always been enterprise. And then for a while, the middle could work
Hmm.
of like I said, kids in front of laptops, outreach.io, stuff like that. So I think the tube has gotten squeezed. The enterprise sales game is still largely the same, right? Because they were doing very expensive, sophisticated things, mostly in the real world anyway. And then the freemium game, I think rather than being SEO led for the most part in performance, it's probably like content and performance led. And like that a sort of PLG freemium that'll work as well as it ever did because people are so connected and social media is so prevalent and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, an outbound enterprise rep who's got 20 accounts to work in a given year, outbound's the same as it's always been for that guy. If you're selling a 20K ACV deal, I don't know what the future holds for you. Because like I just don't know if this digital outbound is. I just don't know how it's going to work. I think it's just going to keep getting harder.
No, I'm sure. It is, and I agree with you that it is going to get more harder and harder as time's going to come, because suddenly the power is the shift is moving towards, I would say, more on the confusion end, that with too much of information also confuses people. They are not sure what they are looking at, with get them thinking, and that creates more confusion in the entire process. And especially with the privacy laws, especially let's talk on the phasing out of third party cookies. How do you ensure data driven, or all the activities that we do under the umbrella of demand generation, lead generation, outbound activities will stay effective for customer to trust us?
I mean, I just think you have to build trust. What am I doing? I'm posting on LinkedIn every single day. One of our core values is living in excellence. So we try to, we are striving to operate in a way to where people who deal with us think that we do things very, very well. We deliver on the promises that we make. Other than, look, I think you either have word of mouth or you don't. If you don't have word of mouth, you're toast. If you do have word of mouth, there is an ever-changing set of opportunities to accelerate that word of mouth.
Absolutely, because what I see, what I hear, every marketer is trying to get attention, for their product, service, or whatever it is. There's too much of crowd right at the bottom. But as you move along, I think word of mouth is something which really helps, and people usually talk about if they have really seen or driven or got the value from using that product or service. Right. And while we talk about this, you mentioned that at the core value of our B2B, you operate in a hyper competitive MarTech space, and you have created a strong presence. And if you have to talk about the fundamental that that shape that strong presence in a hyper competitive world, what would be it?
Well, we were the first one to market with what we did, and there's a great book that I like by these guys, Al Rays and Jack Trout, called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And one of their immutable laws is be the firstest with the mostest. That's not proper English, but you get the point.
Yep.
So Yeah, my last two companies, we've been the first to market with something. So I've literally just tried to stand there, hold up my flag, say, I have this new thing. I created it. I invented it. It is the greatest thing in the world, blah, 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 blah. And just, be the loudest, with the most energy and like whatever else. And then the content brand that we have managed to create has definitely reinforced that. And it's not necessarily about RB2B. I would say probably only 1 in 10 posts even references RB2B or anything about it. But I'm just storytelling and building audience of people who are in my target market on related subjects that they care about, that I have a valuable perspective on. One of which is bootstrapping, the other of which is building startups in general. I have a very strong track record.
Right.
Creating content, small teams, being capital efficient, marketing, like all of these things. Like I can, I have credibility when I speak about them. People are curious as to my thoughts. If I write the hook in the right way. So, hundreds and hundreds of posts over time, they create this, that no one ever knows what the future holds, but like that has created, more trust than anyone doing anything like us has.
Right. No, absolutely. And, that's a very powerful insight. And, probably you mentioned something about the risk. You are the first one to do it. Sometimes the riskiest moves turn out to be the most rewarding ones.
Yes.
And, probably, your experience, your story really resonates and reinforce the importance of trusting your instincts and taking calculative risk with the vision within the business. Right. We have you know 2 times you have mentioned about the books, and I'm sure that you are a very avid reader. What are your 5, 10, probably best 5 books that you would like to recommend? It could be less as well, which
So,
you
yeah,
everybody should.
the first thing I'm going to recommend is not a book. It's actually a podcast.
Mhm.
And if you're listening to me right now, you'll definitely like this podcast more than what you're listening to. It's called Founders, and the guy who makes it is named David Senra. So
Mhm.
he's made around 400 episodes where he reads biographies and autobiographies of the most successful business people, athletes, and artists that have ever lived, and
Wow.
it's incredible. It is just you adopt these people as your mentors, and they're the thing that I found is they're all the same person. They have this insane dedication, insane commitment to it. Doesn't matter whether it's like a Sam Walton who created Walmart, or Jay-Z, or literally you name it. Anna Wintour, the prolific publisher who's in charge of Vogue. They are all the same.
Right.
Just decades long commitment to their craft,
Mhm.
and then just an obsession with excellence.
Right.
So, and they won't tolerate anything else. So I think that the biggest thing biggest favor you could do yourself as an entrepreneur is to just immerse yourself in these people and make them your peers, because then you understand what it takes to accomplish things like they've accomplished. So that's one. I'll just recommend that book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing.
Mhm.
I think a great book about startups in general is The Hard Thing About Hard Things,
Thanks. Yeah.
by Ben Horowitz.
Mhm.
And that's 3. I'll do 2 more. I actually think that so in my journey, the Jason Fried from 37 Signals wrote a book called Rework in like 2011.
Right.
Before the remote era, and this guy's like a bootstrapper, so he makes the anti VC argument, which is like the argument that a lot of my content is. I think a lot of what makes being an entrepreneur so attractive. Warren Buffett said, and this guy has a lot of exposure to this, that he believes
Right.
the happiest people in the world are people that enjoy the lifestyle of running their businesses. Right. And I think lifestyle businesses in tech get a bad rap because it's like you're not trying hard enough, or they're just small or whatever. But Jason Fried makes the argument for bootstrapping startups.
Right.
I am personally a little more ambitious than where he shakes out. He's done really well, but I think, the guy, I'm glad I read it because it got me started. Like I'm really still very deeply engrossed in that mentality, but I like to balance that by reading the Y Combinator blogs, which are fantastic. I don't think Jason Fried emphasizes product market fit enough. And then one last book, if you read one thing, if you're starting startups 0 to 1, I don't know really who the audience is of this, but like the best startup book that's out there is a book called 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank.
Wow.
The biggest mistake that I see is people do not do enough or proper customer discovery. It is just this weird thing. Human intuition is a very bad indicator of market viability.
Right.
The only way you can reduce a ton of risk in starting a startup, but it takes a ton of upfront work of just like honest communication done in the right way with your target market. And then, not really the mistake that's made is people spend, they go raise money, they spend 1.5 years building a product, and they haven't validated whether anyone wants it or not. And then they go to launch it and no one does. Right. So you need to be talking to people as you're building. And if you get an indication that people don't actually want what you're building, you need to stop building it, because we have this commitment heuristic as human beings. We want to keep going. We want our baby to be beautiful and to prosper. But like the best thing you can do for yourself is, if you're working on something that is going to suck, you need to stop working on that and start doing something else. So, yeah, there you go.
Perfect. Adam, it's almost time. So before we wrap up, it's a very interesting, fun, rapid fire kind of a stuff. Probably, the first thing that comes to your mind, you should, just say it out loud without even thinking. Let me know if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Perfect. One marketing tool you absolutely cannot live without.
Intercom.
All right. And if you have to build another startup from scratch today, what industry would it be? You're thinking.
Probably. So like media, I mean, I hate to say it, it's just, it would be something that's related to my content brand. So media.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the most common marketing buzz you wish people would stop using? For me, it would be strategy.
Yeah. The word AI after every single hero statement on a website when they're not actually AI companies. That's what drives me crazy.
Super good. If you could change one thing about B2B, marketing overnight, what would be?
If I could snap my fingers, it would be the ability to measure brand rather than performance, because I just think that puts everybody in a horrible position. The fact that you can pretty much only measure performance.
Right. Amazing. The best advice you have ever received as the founder, and who gave it to you?
A woman who worked for an email company when I was stuck with my first email startup told me, if I were you, I would try to solve a problem in email that has not been solved yet.
Amazing. Amazing. And if you have to describe our B2B secret sauce in just 3 words, what would they be?
It was new.
I like that one. I like that one. Perfect. Adam, this has been such an insightful conversation. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a mix of, your own experience, what you have seen in life, explode, and I really appreciate your openness in sharing your journey, prediction of the future, and there's so much for everyone to learn, from this discussion, and especially the books that you have recommended. I think everybody should get their hands on, and I would certainly look out for the podcast. Thank you once again, Adam, and and for our listeners, if you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, share with your network, and we'll be back soon with more insights from the MarTech world. Until next time, keep innovating.
Thank you.
We are signing off from this episode of Data Demand, but the journey doesn't end here. Stay tuned to MarTech 360 for more insights and strategies that can help you master the MarTech landscape.